Hey, what's up, Sabscribers? It's your girl, Sab, again, here on another episode of Suffering of Silence. So I wanted to make today's episode. Today I wanted to discuss a few things. I'm trying to map out the conversation and the episodes as much as I can, but sometimes I go off on tangents and I lose my train of thoughts, and it's the ADHD, bro. I literally cannot focus sometimes. But I also just feel like there's just so much for me to share. It's like I just be wanting to say everything that be on my mind. But today I wanted to talk about something pretty serious. And I don't think that it's a joking matter at all. A lot of the things I talk about I don't feel like are joking matters at all, but I just feel like sometimes my way of processing things is to kind of joke about it or laugh sometimes. But yeah, so I wanted to talk about something pretty serious today. Actually, I do want to discuss topics that are, regarding harassment and stalking. So I want to fully disclose those things before it triggers anyone. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm going to talk about today in this episode. So I definitely have quite a few stories to tell and quite a few adventures that I've been on in my lifetime, in my short lifetime. And one thing that I don't even want to say was I don't even want to make it seem like it was just this. I don't want to make it seem like it completely consumed my life, but it was a big part of my life in my 20s. So I've actually experienced, truly experienced being stalked in my life by an ex, and I don't even want to call the person out. This is not to bring shame on this person or make this person seem like I'm not trying to make this person seem like a terrible and awful person, because I do have some sort of compassion and empathy towards this person, and I feel awful towards whatever they're battling. So this is just to share my experience and my point of view of things and how shit played out. So in my late teens, early 20s, I was in a relationship with someone who, honestly, I've had to question why I chose the people that I've chosen to be with and really understand what was going through my fucking head. And it's not to shit on them. It's just that I've obviously realized that in each individual person I've chosen to date in my lifetime, most of them have been just reason for me to escape the things that I was going through, as far as with my family and just my own personal shit. I try to use these relationships as an escape from what was going on at home, or just the fact that I don't know, maybe I just didn't want to do the work of healing myself, my inner child, and being a better version of myself at the time. And you know what, straight after when I turned 18, actually when I was 17, I was actually planning to actually move out of state. I have family that lives very fucking far away from home. So I had every intention of actually moving out to LA area. I even made efforts into doing that on my own. I literally created an entire budget. I started applying for apartments and everything out there, and starting to plan my move on some serious shit. And I even tried to plan out how I was going to work and like transferring my jobs out there. Because at the time I was working 2 jobs. I've always worked 2 jobs my whole freaking life now that I think about it. Um, and like I was super serious about moving out to LA, and I mean, even at the time, like I was actually considering, like, for some time I thought about going to school for music. Even when I was like 17, I was applying for colleges out in New York. I'm like, I was actually really interested in pursuing music and following that path. I always thought that there was something more for me. Like I I've always been into fashion, I guess, in some sense. I don't even want to say fashion because I feel like fashion has like this, it has such a high, I don't even know how to explain it, but to me, fashion is not exactly what I would call my style. I would definitely say my style is just expressive of who I am. And I don't even know if that's what you would consider fashion, but I feel like fashion is more of like, um, it's just a higher standard than what I actually uphold my style to. So, but yeah, I always felt like music and clothing and styling was kind of my thing growing up. And I always felt like there was like a uniqueness to the way I do things. And um, I'd always wanted to pursue that at a very young age. I think even the first time I ever realized that I enjoyed music and enjoyed singing and actually felt like, hey, I could have some potential here. Like, I actually kind of sound kind of good. I was probably in like the 5th grade. And I was listening to Chris Brown. And so I was like 9 or 10. But I've always grown up with like music, and like my parents had always, um, they had always, we had like a Friday thing where every night when my dad would get home from work, we would do karaoke night. Me, my dad, and my mom. And that's when I started to really like fall in love with my passion for like music and singing. And then once I turned like 9 or 10, that's when I realized I could actually sing. And since then I'm not as talented as I'd hope I could be. Had I just stuck to it and really pursued it and got serious about it for real, had I just like took it for real and like maybe actually worked on it, I could probably be a lot more talented and sound a lot better. But I kind of put that off to the side. And in a lot of ways, like I would think that, I don't want to say like I regret it, but in a lot of ways I look back and I'm like, why did I give up on my own passions and desires? And I wish that I would have stuck with it. But I used to write my own music most of the time. To be honest, in my teen years, I didn't even live at home. I was essentially like couch surfing from one sister's house to another. I was barely ever at home. I was constantly feeling like I went through a lot of moments of feeling lost at such an early age. And during those times, it's really hard. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. It's really tough to be lost during that age because those are very developmental like times for you. And there was just a lot of stuff that was going on at home that just made me extremely unhappy and unwilling to be home. And it's hard to explain it because it just feels like I'm exposing my family. But yeah, I was just going through a lot, and I had always experienced like a lot of feelings of not belonging. I mean, my whole life, really. At a very young age, I was going through even suicidal thoughts and tendencies before I even hit high school. And in high school, it just kept getting worse. Like, I thought that by me going to an art school where I was focused on my music and singing, like I thought that by me being surrounded by those types of individuals, that it could motivate me and keep me on that, on that path. But ultimately, it didn't actually do that for me. And there was nothing that would have changed that other than my own choices to pursue it. But yeah, some days I'm like, I wish I would have taken it more serious. But so after 18, like I was in a relationship with someone for a couple of years. Again, I'm not trying to shit on this person. I'm just speaking from my own experience. And it was just, I had no legit reason for staying with this person other than the fact that like I've built this attachment to this person, and now I'm like, hey, I feel guilty if I just up and leave you with nothing, because before me you had nothing and now you at least have someplace to sleep. You have, it was like I done so well like being focused on not dating. And then after I turned 18, like shit just changed. And I ended up canceling all of my plans of like moving out to LA and, you know, and pursuing my dreams and aspirations. And who knows what would have happened? Maybe I would have failed. Maybe I wouldn't have. I don't know. But either fucking way, I didn't fucking take that chance and I didn't do it. And that was pretty stupid of me. Pretty fucking stupid of me. But I'm working through healing that version of myself and like making sure that I know it's okay. Clearly, that just wasn't the path for me, because whatever is meant for me will not have passed for me. You know what I mean? And it's not to say that like over the years I haven't like dabbled into music here and there since then. It's just that I've never taken it full-time serious since I was 16 or 17, and really fucking sucks. But either way, here we are, 28, pursuing other things. And I think I've made a pretty decent life for myself considering everything that I have gone through. But yeah, so during this time, you know, it was, so when I finally, I guess my whole point is when I finally got to my breaking point where I actually just was like, yeah, enough is enough. I can't do this anymore. I've been unhappy for a very long time, and I've just been holding on for the fact that I'm constantly guilty. Like I'm constantly feeling guilty for this person. If I leave, they have nothing. They have no one. And so, you know, there were some things that transpired in the relationship that really pushed it over the edge. And it's some pretty serious stuff that like, that's, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm ready to talk about, maybe I'm not. And maybe I'm just like, I'm ready to talk about it. I just don't know if everyone else is ready to hear what actually transpired. But essentially I had to find a way to get out of this relationship, in which I did. But things were messy at the end of this relationship, as most toxic situations do happen. Like, you know, it's always messy when things end. So essentially what happened, my dad ended up being diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And so at this point I'm about 20, almost 21, and I decided to quit my job because I wanted to be there for like my family, because my mom had a lot going on with taking care of my nephews and niece, like literally full time. They were in her care, all while like my dad is fighting cancer. So I decided that, okay, stage 4 is very, very, very severe. So I decided to quit my job and stay home full time to help my mother. And we also had like an at-home daycare that somewhat would help me with some sort of income. Ultimately, I ended up staying home for some time. I literally was like living at my parents' house because it made no sense for me to ever leave. And also, I just didn't want to be at home because I didn't want to deal with the fact that this person was not handling shit the way that they should have been handling shit. And also, I was at my wit's end with this person. Just so disgusted with this person. Didn't want to be with this person. I had been unhappy for so long, and this just was my way to escape that. So I'm constantly escaping things and constantly running from the fucking issue rather than just dealing with it and cutting it off and just calling it quits on these situations, right? So during this time, my sister also came back home to to help out. So it was like the two of us balancing everything that my mom would normally do and giving my mom time to like help my dad. And so, you know, we're trying to do our best, right? So during this time away from him really fucking helped me kind of see that like I am just that much happier without this person. And it still didn't this still wasn't the exact moment in which I decided to fucking leave this person. It's still months down the line, probably like 6 months down the line before I actually decide to leave this person. And during this time, like, you know, I was just working a lot. I was working third shift and things transpired with this person. And I don't even want to speak on it too much, but yeah, anyways, I finally decided that this person just wasn't for me. I really have to leave. So when I finally decided to leave this person, we shared dogs because we got one dog, and I can't even, how we got this dog is a whole different fucking story, because I never even wanted to get a dog in the first place because I knew that financially we were unstable, and also this person is just not in a place to be caring for a fucking dog. So essentially we ended up getting this dog, and the dog was pregnant, and then we have now we went from one dog to 4 dogs. We went from no dogs to 1 dog to 4 dogs. And essentially I took my dogs and I left, and this person came all the way to my parents' house on the goddamn city bus and took 2 of my dogs. My dad had no idea of what was going on in this situation because I kind of wanted to keep my parents out of it, because I just felt like I didn't want to add an extra burden on them, as shit, my dad's fucking dying right now, and the last thing he needs to worry about is his daughter and her boyfriend going through a fucking shit show, whatever. So he knew that I worked third shift, and he knew when to come and get my dogs. But during this time, this person actually ends up hacking into my tablet, and I'm logged into Facebook, and this person starts changing my Facebook status and like messaging all of my friends and just, I don't even know, like talking shit and just trying to message all of my guy friends about, I don't know, what the fuck ever. So I'm getting calls and text messages at work asking what the fuck is going on with my Facebook, and it's completely out of control. Eventually this person leaves, but this person had, even leading up to this moment, like this person had been harassing me constantly calling me, showing up at my sister's house, showing up at my parents' house. And at this time I wasn't living anywhere specific. Like I was literally on the move because I was so afraid that this person would find me. And yeah, eventually he caught up to me. He took the dogs, and all in all of this happens, and I end up getting a restraining order against this person, and it does get granted. And it's actually, it was a 4-year restraining order, and the many times in which this person has violated that fucking restraining order is insane. And unfortunately, no legal action has ever been taken against this person, except for one time in which he was issued an arrest warrant, but was never caught. And there's just so many things in between that happens, but essentially there was a situation in which he even had this was maybe like 2 years into the restraining order being issued, and he even had like his baby mama / girlfriend, whatever the fuck she was, reach out to me through Instagram, from her own page, because obviously he is blocked from every fucking thing, and this is years later. Like we should have both been moved on with our fucking lives, and obviously you should never have even reached out to me legally. You should not have. But anyways, so his baby mama's Instagram page, whatever. So this person is like messaging me and like just all types of crazy ass messages, and like the amount of times that people have told me that this person has like posted photos of me and my niece and like posting statuses about how much they're in love with me and how I'm the love of their life and X, Y, and Z. And like the amount of times over the years that people kept telling me that this person would say things about me and talk about me on social media, and then for them to also message me through their own baby mama's page is insane, right? Like, I mean, like, these are like real life. This is real life. Like, I can't believe I lived through this shit. But, you know, I would just ignore those messages because every time I would make a police report, or I would try to make a police report about these things, nothing would come of it. And because it's through because it's not physical contact, the cops would just simply tell me that there is nothing that they can do about it unless my life is literally in danger physically. And because it's also through like electronic communication, there is no proof that this is that person. And so essentially what ends up happening is like I ignore all these messages. And at this time I was also dating someone new. I was in a relationship with the person who was more physically abusive towards me. And this person would constantly, essentially bully me into like how he felt like I needed to handle the situation, rather than just allowing me to like try to process this in my own way. And I know like I could have done things differently or been smarter about shit, but I'm also going to handle shit the way that I handle it because I'm still a compassionate person. I just never wanted any legal issues, but I mean, here we are, right? So anyways, at the time, the person that I was dating, my abusive ex, was somehow communicating. I don't know. He was communicating with this person, my ex's baby mom, my stalker's baby mama, through Instagram, his own Instagram or something like that. I have no fucking clue. But basically, he was talking to them and I just was not responding because I didn't feel like, obviously by me responding, that would be breaking the fucking restraining order in the first fucking place. But outside of that, like, I just didn't feel like me giving a response was going to fucking help anything in the situation. So ultimately, what happened that night, I got my ass beat that night. Not that that's funny or anything. It's just like, because I'm going through a really traumatic stalker situation, I still get my ass beat because I'm not handling it the way that he would want me to handle it, rather than just letting me deal with the situation how I want to deal with it, or not empathizing with the fact that like literally this is fucking traumatizing for me, not comforting me, not trying to understand my point of view. Anyways, that situation is the reason that I do not fucking, I cannot stand the smell of vinegar. I can't stand baby powder, and I'm terrified of chairs. We're just gonna say that. Okay, so ultimately I end up reaching out to my stalker's mother on Facebook, and I'm like, I need you to like get your son, da da da. And she asked me for my phone number, and I'm like, I'm a little hesitant because I'm like, yo, like you could probably get my number to him at any moment. Like, can I trust you? And obviously, stupid me. So she calls me, and we're having a conversation about everything. And, you know, she's just going off about how, like, she's been telling him, like, he needs to get his shit together. He needs to leave it alone, da, 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 da. And it's like, you know, I honestly don't care. I just want you to tell him to leave me the fuck alone or do something, like, get him some help, something, because I can no longer tolerate this because I'm over here getting my ass beat for him reaching out to me. So outside of that though, outside of me getting my ass beat for him reaching out to me, this is a little traumatizing that he keeps fucking contacting me even with a restraining order in place, and even like with the simple fact that you're not getting the fucking point that I don't want to fucking be with you. I don't want anything to do with you. I've gotten a restraining order against you. have not ever once tried to make contact back. I have never once even, like, I have blocked you entirely from my life, and you're not getting the fucking point, right? You're not getting the fucking point. So it's, and no one seems to fucking understand like how this is affecting me. So ultimately his mom, you know, she does whatever. And I mean, from what our conversation, from what I understood from the end of our conversation, was that she was going to get him some help. So they ultimately, I guess she was saying that she was going to check him into a mental hospital, into a psych ward, so that he can figure out his shit. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry. It's not that I'm that, you know, it's not that I'm that fucking cold-hearted. It's just that simply I am dealing with the trauma of being stalked constantly for years straight. And then I'm also dealing with it while getting my ass beat because the person I'm with is disagreeing with the way I'm handling it. And, you know, I get it. I could have left that person, but I'm also like, I'm obviously not in the best state of mind myself. So on top of, you know, at this point, my dad has already passed away, and like, I'm trying to deal with the grief of that and the guilt of it all. So, all right, let's fast forward a little. So the next fucking day, I get a call from a random number, and mind you, this person does not live in the state of Wisconsin any longer. This person apparently is living with like his mother out of state. So it's a random number from this fucking state that's calling me. And clearly I'm like, very coincidental, very fucking coincidental. And I don't give a fuck. I'm not answering. So it goes to voicemail, and this person has the fucking audacity to leave me a voicemail. Not just that, but a voicemail from the psych ward. So you used your one phone call. I'm sorry. So you used your one phone call to call me. And this is why I knew I shouldn't have trusted giving my phone number to his mother just to talk to her about the situation. But anyways, you used your one phone call to talk to me, to leave me a voicemail. And you thought I was going to answer you. And you stupidly thought, I should leave a voicemail because that way she can prove that I broke the restraining order. Thank you. So I don't even want to talk about the voicemail because it's literally traumatizing. But anyways, so I take this to the police station. I take this to the courthouse, and I'm like, to like the domestic violence, you know, fucking place or whatever. And I go through a whole process of filing the charges and issuing the arrest warrant. Like I said, nothing was done to this day. And yeah, that still remains. So yeah, that is kind of like my stalker situation, and that's in a nutshell. That's in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it, but those are like the big events, I guess. And yeah, so that happened between, I was 21. Yeah, I was 21 when the restraining order was issued, and I'm now 28, and I actually recently received a few text messages from this person. I don't understand how this person even still has my fucking phone number, and I know I should probably change my phone number, but because yeah, that would probably be the smartest thing. But you know, you would think like after all these years you would just leave somebody the fuck alone. It's been almost 10 fucking years, and you would think that, but apparently some people still don't get it. And this person recently reached out yet again, obviously an immediate block. And for some reason my watch was still receiving the text messages. See, the reason that I feel like I don't want to change my phone number is because I've had this phone number for decades, and the reason I don't feel like I need to change and uproot every fucking part of my life is because it is not me. You're the one stalking me. You're not getting the fucking point, bro. And that's what blows my fucking mind. That's what blows my fucking mind, is that I shouldn't have to uproot my entire fucking life for someone to get the point of like, leave me the hell alone. So yeah, that's kind of like my stalker situation in a nutshell. I mean, and to be very fucking honest, I guess, to be more vulnerable, it does still bring up a lot of like negative emotions within me, because it's not that I blame this person for some of like the trauma that I experienced even outside of the stalking, like how I was being abused by my partner at the time for things that were out of my control, because this person was constantly stalking me. That was still my decision. That was still my choice to stay in that relationship that was abusive, and me knowing it. But at the same time, that the fact that this person was stalking me obviously didn't contribute to helping me not get my ass beat. And I laugh about it, and I don't know why I laugh about it. I'm so sick. But like, I kind of have to, because it's really like in all honesty, like, it obviously is really painful for me, because again, like, I want to wish the best for people, and I never want to have ill feelings towards anyone, even if shit was terrible when we were involved in each other's lives, or when we shared whatever we shared, and the way that things end. But it's like, that's my problem, is that like, I never am willing to show the right fucking amount of discernment, and I'm never choosing the right moments to be a bitch, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I disappointed myself in a lot of ways, because I feel like I blame myself for so many years. Now I'm gonna start to cry, because this shit is real, bro. Like, this shit is starting to like resurface, like what actually is hurting. It's not just because of what I went through, like being stalked and then being abused for the fact that I was being stalked, but it's the fact that I constantly blamed myself for making the choices of like staying with either one of those individuals for as long as I did. And like, I always think about like what I could have done differently to not continue to be stalked, and maybe that wouldn't have destroyed that relationship that I was in so much. But then I'm like, even outside of me being stalked, like, this person was still abusing me, and I literally questioned that for so many years. And that's what hurts me the most. That is what actually hurts me, is that I was questioning myself on like what I could have done better, what I should have done differently, so that I wouldn't be stalked, so that I wouldn't have gotten my ass beat, so that it wouldn't have been like, was it me that was just ruining my entire fucking relationship? Is that the reason that this person kept, beating my ass? And had I not had a stalker, if I had not had all this baggage, maybe this person could have treated me better. But a lot of the shit is out of my control. I don't control the actions of my stalker. But I also I know that I could have made better decisions and better choices. But that was a past me. That was different me. And I can't, like, I have to look back at that person and be like, hey, like, you literally tried your fucking best. And in the moment, like, I wasn't recognizing or realizing how traumatizing it was to experience the stalking of it. And then the fear of how my abusive partner in that time was going to react to those things. Like, sometimes I wouldn't even want to tell him, because I was afraid that I was going to get my ass beat. But I felt like if I didn't tell him and he were to find out somehow, which most likely he would by going through my fucking phone, he would be fucking upset and still beat my ass. So it's like, there was never like a winning situation to me, other than to just fucking leave this person. But I would still be getting stalked to this, even to this day, right? So I don't know, it was just a lot going through my mind, and I wish there were easier ways for me to like go back to those. Like I can't go back in time. Like I can't change the shit that's already happened. And for me to like move on from it, like I'm still working through it. I'm still trying to fix that part of me. And like I still think about that moment to this day. And there's so much more to this story that like I want to add to it as well. And like even to think about a year ago, I was just hanging out with someone, and like I was just going through like old messages, right? Because for the first time in years, I was finally taking back like my social media and trying to like not saying that social media is just end all be all, but I mean, it was a way to like connect with people, and I'm a very social fucking person. And for so many years, like I had to block off social media. I had to delete everything because I was being controlled. I was being told that I need to do those things. So I obliged. And so me trying to like reconnect back with the world again, I found some like old messages that my stalker's baby mama was sending me, and messages that I never read. I had never read any of those because I blocked it all, and I didn't give a fuck to read any of it at the time because of everything I was going through personally. But some of the things that she had revealed to me in those messages were actually very fucking shocking. And it's not my story to tell, it's definitely hers. So I don't know where she is in this world, but hey, I hope that she's okay. But not even to compare what we both went through, but some of the things that she was telling me was pretty fucking awful, and it's worse than what I actually experienced with that person. I mean, I didn't even experience all of that. It was just the end in which like I was being stalked so terribly and awfully. That was the biggest, like that was the chunk of the trauma that I dealt with that person. And you know, some of the shit that she was telling me was just insane. Like I said, it's not my story to tell, but based off of what I was reading, you know, she was involved in some very serious situations that, you know, that I feel really awful for her to have had to experience. And had this person just gotten the help that he needed, maybe things would be different, you know? But I felt guilty for some time, even after reading those messages last year. Like, I felt guilty that I didn't read them sooner, and I didn't see her call for help, you know? Because in those messages, it wasn't just him messaging me. It was her also messaging me and telling me that I needed to give him the closure that he wanted, when it's like, bro, you got the closure when you got the restraining order. Okay, let me stop joking. But no, on some serious shit, it was like, you know, I hear you, I see you. Like, I wish, some days I was just sitting there thinking like, bro, I wish I would have read those messages sooner. I wish I would have listened to her call for help sooner, and maybe she wouldn't have gone through a lot of the situation that she was going through. But you know, I can't carry that guilt because it's not my guilt to carry. You know, that's his. That has nothing to do with me. And I'm sorry that she went through those things, but yeah, I mean, there was nothing that I could do anyways. But yeah, just to see some of that shit that she was saying was insane to me. But yeah, not to like re-traumatize myself and whatnot, but like, you know, I feel like this is an honest story, like a real story that I can actually tell and I can be more open about. And you know, it's funny to me because actually a couple situations happened recently. I was someone that I was like most recently dating. It was quite funny actually. This person, it's not funny actually. I saying? The person that I was recently dating actually told me, because like I was fighting for my relationship with this person, and I'm like, I'm not going to be ashamed to say that. I was fighting for my relationship with this person and just trying to tell this person, like, we should try this again and like really make this work. And this person was pretty adamant about not wanting to be with me anymore. And I can accept that now. I'm cool with that. But it was just something that this person said to me that will always sit with me forever. And at some point, like, I even considered staying friends with this person, but the way that this person disrespected me was insane. This person literally compared my stalker situation to me wanting to fight for my relationship with them. This person literally looked at me and said, you telling me that I still need to try harder and that we both need to try harder to make this relationship work is like you constantly getting stalked and so constantly reaching back out to you even after all these years. The fucking audacity that this person had to say that is crazy to me. And I had to let that sit. I had to let that sit for a minute. Like, this happened months ago, but I had to let that sit and marinate and understand, like, because I had a question, like, I almost felt like still being friends with this person, even after breaking up and like our relationship ending. But for this person to have the audacity to say that to me is crazy. Like, I didn't even process that in the moment. But when I reflected back on it, I was like, yeah, no, actually, that's what it is. That did it for me. That was it. That was all I needed to know, that none of y'all give a fuck about what I went through. None of y'all, like, for you to compare my trauma to me fighting for our relationship that at one point we both wanted. And regardless, it was just the fact that you would bring my trauma up and compare it to anything. That was just bottom line. That was at this point, though, the reason you would think, like, for someone so close to me, someone who I loved so fucking much, like someone that was that intimately close with me, would take my vulnerable moments and my traumatic moments and essentially use it against me as a weapon in a disagreement. You would think that I would never want to share the most traumatic events in my life, or to share my you would think that I wouldn't even have the vulnerability that I do. Most people would not want to. But I took that as a moment to, well, you know what? I look at my trauma like this, right? Like, you cannot weaponize it against me, and you cannot use it against me in any fucking way because I've learned to accept it. I've learned to live with it. I've learned that was a version of me from the past, and who I am now, that doesn't define me. Those fucking things don't define me. I'm becoming this better, amazing version of myself in spite of that shit. And for someone to weaponize that shit against me, somebody so intimately close to me, like, that was, it hurts. It fucking hurts. But I learned my lesson, and I learned that person wasn't the greatest person I've ever met in my life, like I once said. And it's really sad. It's really sad because it's like, you could be really good. You could be a really great person, but you can also say some real fucked up shit and be hella disrespectful. But yeah, I like to think that my trauma doesn't define me, because I know it doesn't. I'm going to still be authentically me. I'm going to still be the loving person that I am through and through, because that's just who I am. Like, I can't change that about me. As many times as I've tried, as many times as I wanted to be this cold, edgy fucking person, because I felt like that would keep me from getting hurt again. But nah, at some point I have to be willing to accept this shit that I've been through. because I mean, it happened. I can't change that shit. It's a part of who I once was. But yeah, you know, a lot of lessons can come of this. Yeah, so that was a more serious episode, and I know I laughed a lot in this because it's not funny, but like sometimes I have to laugh at the shit that I've been through and the shit that I've done. Don't be afraid to share your stories, whether it's anonymously. I mean, hit me in my DMs even. I'm trying to keep up with it. I'm trying my best. Or if you feel like you want to be brave enough to like come on an episode, I am down for it. I know I got a lot of people lined up for some episodes, and I'm working through it, guys. My schedule is very crazy between 2 jobs and I guess traveling. So I'm trying to do my best. So yeah, please don't be afraid to share your stories. That's what this space is here for. You can hit the DMs. My personal page is _Sabscription on IG. And then the podcast, make sure you follow the podcast on Instagram. It's Suffering of Silence Pod. And then you can find me on TikTok as well. Personal TikTok is Sabscription. And podcast TikTok is Suffering of Silence Pod. Yeah, so hopefully I got some more shit to bring to y'all. No, I definitely do. I got a lot of stories. So yeah. Yeah, this is Sab once again. I really appreciate all of my genuine subscribers for listening every other week to my episodes, and sharing your insight and feedback and thoughts. Like, honestly, it really does help. So yeah, this is another episode of Suffering of Silence. It's your girl Sab. I'm gonna talk to y'all later. Bye.